I don't know if y'all can hear the noise of the little bugs back there. For me, that's always been a very nostalgic noise. Well, so something many people don't know about me is I once had an addiction problem. Spent years, making poor choices, doing all the wrong things, and I ended up going out to get help. And I remember at the center where I was at, so it was down in Mexico. I'd always hear those little bugs like during the day, and so this center was a place that I used to detest. I used to hate it, but I ended up falling in love with it. I don't know if any of y'all have ever dealt with addiction. It's it's tough. When I first got there, I said I hate this place. I don't need to be here. I have no need for this kind of stuff. I can get better on my own. Turns out, it was a lot more difficult than I thought. But it's amazing how just one little thing can bring back such memories. I actually spent about 4 years there as an addictions counselor. When I got better, I made it a mission to help other people out. However, after years, I decided, it's time to start going on my own. Although I still do help when I can. Right now, well, for me, it is a necessity. When I can help somebody get on the right path, it helps me to maintain the right path. Currently, I am speaking to a woman. She's in her 40s, or speaking to her mother. She's addicted to fentanyl, in a really bad relationship, a toxic relationship with a guy that's a drug addict, and it's quite a sad story, having her mom calling me bawling. His mother's in her 60s. You think, she has no need to have to deal with this kind of stuff. Her daughter's not a little girl, but, as she tells me, my daughter is my little girl. It doesn't matter if she's 40 or 60 or 2, It's a topic, I'd say, that many people are in denial about. I know a lot of people that even when they say, it's just weed and just, it's just something small, I can deal with it, but I've seen people there end up going through hell. And then, it starts off with the small things. Personally, for me, what I always learned was that, the addiction has nothing to really do with the drugs. The drugs is usually just the final step. Before, it's really about the things that led me to addiction, childhood traumas, and I've been in 9 years of sobriety, and it's not been easy. It has not been easy. It's an ongoing struggle. However, day by day, keeping busy, doing my work keeps me sane. I'm the type of person that my mind is running at 220. I can't stay still. If I have nothing to do, the bad thoughts start coming up. They start manifesting, and I have the necessity to, keep my mind busy. I don't think I've stated in other videos. I'll go on these long work trips, going to hundreds of stores for spatial mapping, asset tagging, commercial photography. And a lot of guys are always telling me, how the hell can you work 16 hours a day, sometimes 12 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week? And I say, it's a necessity for me. I need to keep my mind busy. I need to keep doing something. And sorry about all the loud noise. It's the HVAC units from the background. But, it's a necessity for me to keep working hard and keep at it, because I know that I can be 20 years sober, and all it takes is one bad move, one bad thought to have that all come crashing down. So, just a little update I wanted to give y'all. Just those little things I said. All it took was a little noise from a bug that I used to hear all the time sitting down in these meetings to bring back all these memories. Y'all have a good afternoon. So I went to a different spot. Originally I was looking for a quieter spot, but all I could find was one of these truck stops. So a lot of idling trucks. The bugs in the background are a little bit more defined, the noise. So I'm not a professional speaker. I'm not good at speaking. So you might hear me say and pause a lot of times, but I'd rather just keep speaking fluidly rather than taking a million different takes. I feel that if I start cutting out things that I was saying and then just start reshooting it, it may not come out as naturally as I'd want it to. In regards to what I spoke earlier about my addiction, it is tough sometimes, especially on the road, traveling long distances, not speaking with anyone, to, give power to my thoughts, to start, thinking over and over, okay, you know what, maybe if I think it's been long enough, you should be able to be fine, and, you can handle it this time. Thank God to this day I haven't given power to that, that part of my thinking, because I know how bad I've been. I know the places that I've been to, and I know where I don't want to go back to. And in regards to the rehab, so personally, it's my belief that it's good for everyone to, be able to speak to somebody about issues. I'm not a person to say, oh, open up your feelings to everyone, because I don't believe that either. I personally try not to convey my problems to my family or my wife, because I don't think they need to hear my bullshit. Most of the time the things that I say are things that only I understand, because most of my family don't deal with addiction the way I have. I have my sponsor. She's been with me through thick and thin. And I know most times sponsor's male and my sponsor is female, and but trust me, she's given me a good ass kicking before. I remember this one time, she was pregnant, 8 months. I felt so bad about it. I was at this rehab center still down in Mexico, and I started getting to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna leave. I'm sick of this place. I'd been there for about 9-10 months. I had a lot of privileges there, so I wasn't forced to be there, but I still had a necessity to be there. And one day I was just mad at the world. I was pissed at everyone. I was just giving power to my anger and just saying, you know what, enough is enough. I've been through it. I know what I need to do to stay clean. And we had gone to this one party with a bunch of people from AA. And I don't remember, I think they sent me to be the DJ. And as I was sitting there, I was just mad that anything anyone said to me would just tick me off. So I went up to her, I was like, you know what, fuck this, I am done with this, I am leaving. And she yanked me, grabbed me, threw me back. She said, get your ass inside. I don't want to hear your bullshit right now, all right? Go inside. And she grabbed me and she actually yanked. I weigh 200 something pounds, She's 130. I mean, she's super tall. Actually, probably more. She's super tall. But she's also 8 months pregnant. I felt so bad. I was like, oh my God, you're going to cause her to have, this birth right here. We were talking about that the other day. She's like, she told me, she's like, I can't believe, you are a pain in my ass, honestly. She had sent me some pictures of the kids, and her kids are already 7, 8 years old, and I was like, wow. I was telling her, I still remember the day that I remember when you first got pregnant. And we were talking about, how time flies. And I said, life's too short to just live it high and, without purpose or meaning in life. For a long time, I felt that life really didn't have a meaning. I contemplated, certain things. Maybe it'd be better if I wasn't around anymore. And honestly, I'm glad that I didn't give too much. I didn't go through with it. Better word to say. Because nowadays I can see how much I have. I may not be rich. I don't have super nice car, big house, but I have a lot of people that around me that know that I'm there for them. I don't have my parents worrying about if I'm gonna, end up dead from an overdose or something worse. My parents aren't locking everything up in a safe anymore, locking all their doors, because that's the type of person I was. Every time I come around anywhere, everyone's like, all right, hide your stuff, lock your stuff up, because this guy's gonna come and steal it and pawn it. And lately I've been thinking a lot of things that I lived through in the past, and I have my moments where I still haven't fully let go of certain emotions. I'm the type of person that, say I got mad at somebody 10 years ago, I'll think about why I got mad at this person, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm pissed off again. I'm a really emotional person, but I've learned to be able to calm that down and try and maintain some sort of inner peace. Obviously, I'm not into all that like meditation and everyone thinks like that Buddhism and hippie stuff. It's not me. I tend to put a face on being tough, or I always know what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and this is how it's gonna go. But on the inside, I have a tornado of emotions at times going through my head. And I said, thank God I have my sponsor, somebody that I can open up to and be honest with. I don't think it'd be healthy to be so honest with my wife about these types of things, because I said I have some crazy thoughts sometimes, and they don't need that type of burden. So I know addiction can be tough. I'm not one to preach and tell everyone you got to do this, you should go do this. When I speak, I try and speak more about the things that I've gone through, my experiences, and what I've been able to do to better them. What's worked for me may not work for others. What makes me feel happy might not, make somebody else feel happy. But those little things that I've picked up throughout the years through my time in the center, my time through seeing people come in and out, what brought me more joy in life than anything else was being able to see somebody come to the center for the first time. I mean, most of the guys that we had were meth addicts. The center was down in Mexico, Guadalajara. And, the drug of choice out there are amphetamines. So, getting a lot of these guys coming in weighing 80 pounds, 70 pounds, I mean, just completely out of it. It's crazy the way some people come in and then the way they leave, completely different person. I used to always take pictures of when somebody came in, and I tell them, the day you get out, you're not going to recognize that person. And the one downside about rehab is that it is not you're going to go and you're going to get better right away. I've seen a lot of people that say their programs are, oh yeah, there's a 90% success rate. That's just not true. In my experience, I've seen the success rate is unfortunately in the single digits. It might be 5% of people that are going to go through the first time and be able to, maintain their life. And, it's not that I'm saying that it's, one can't, a lot of people go in, they'll relapse, and then they'll go back in and relapse again. And one thing I always heard is however many times it takes, as long as you get to the goal. And it's sad to, that I've met a lot of people there that aren't with us anymore. A lot of the people that would go in our center, were, running around with the cartels, stealing from the wrong people. And any of you know anything about Mexico is that they have some pretty brutal punishments out there, especially what the cartels do. If you're caught stealing, you might lose an arm. If you're caught trying to extort somebody, you might lose your tongue. I had a guy once that was at our center that they brought him back, and this guy was missing all his fingers and his toes and his tongue. by the time he came back because he was messing with the wrong people. It's a scary thing. And living here in the U.S., I know a lot of people take it for granted and say how horrible a country this is, but I just say, you know what, just live in another country for a while and see how other people live, and you'll see why I personally do believe this country is the greatest country around. Because my experience has told me that I've had it better than most other people. My complaints I've been to, I don't know, probably a third of the world. Fortunately, I had parents with means to, be able to travel. At 16, I moved to Germany. I went to school out there. At 20, I decided to go around the world, going through Australia, New Zealand, all over Europe, South America, Asia. I was fortunate enough to have parents that would allow me and help me, get through it. And in some part, it may have not been a good thing for me, because I grew up a kid I was just an absolute asshole. I always thought of myself as better than everyone else. Like, oh, my parents have this, my parents have that. Even though we were not rich, we were well off, but we were not, we weren't millionaires or anything like that. But I used to always put an image that that's how they were. Most people in my school assumed that, oh yeah, this family, they're all millionaires and they have everything, and wasn't true. And when people would notice that kind of stuff, it's just keep lying about it, keep lying, like, oh, why don't you have a, $100,000 car? Oh, it's because it's in the shop. Or I'm just waiting, I'm just renting it, something like that. There was always an excuse for everything, because I had very low self-esteem. I didn't like people knowing that I didn't have things together. I would I'd even lie about, oh yeah, I have this degree, I've done this and that, I've done, and most of it was bullshit. Because I was looking for some type of acceptance. And I apologize for all the background noises, just cars coming in and out. So, what has helped me as, more than anything, being truthful with myself, actually accepting and not being such a pathological liar. I would make up these stories of supposedly what I did, and I would end up believing these stories. And I'd say a lot of it had to do with when I was a child, I went through an experience. I know I'm not supposed to say those words on YouTube, whether it sounds to you. Just say I had an older person take advantage of me, as a child. And I don't say this for people to feel sorry for me, because you know what? Everything that's happened in my life, everything happens for a reason. I am the person today because of my past experiences. Sure, I don't think any kid should go through this type of thing, but it is what it is. It happened, and it's in the past. But from there on out, I would always create these imaginations, because I didn't want to live my life. I wanted to be somebody else. I wanted to live another life. I was not happy with what I went through. I wasn't happy with my family at times. I wasn't happy with what I had, and I had a lot. And these type of things, I would say, these are first world issues. I think, when going through other countries, people don't care about how people see them or what they have. A lot of people are just trying to work to survive. They're just trying to live, trying to have food on the table. And I think most people around here would take it for granted. At least I did. Until actually getting to see the world for how it is. And even here, yes, we have our own issues, but honestly, I feel bad for a lot of the people that I see that are crying about how people call them. I always see the pronouns issue and stuff like that, and it just seems ridiculous to me, because I think most people that are just trying to live would never have that in their mind, because they have actual struggles. So it's not to put anyone else down. I believe that within themselves, they do believe it is an actual struggle, Unfortunately, I think there's a big victim mentality here where it's become cool to be the victim, or what people actually, back in the day, I remember that in school kids were always, well, I'm the strongest, I'm the tallest, I'm this and that. And it seems like nowadays people fighting about who's the bigger victim, about who's treated the worst. And it's such a, I feel sad for a lot of the people that live that way. I've gone through it too. I know politics has people riled around about how one side hates the other. I mean, both sides are always at each other's necks. And, I try to lay somewhere in the center. But I do see, I hate you because you voted for this person, or I hate you because of this. And it just seems like such a miserable way to live, always being mad, always feeling that everyone's out to get you. It's just, it's something that when I tell myself this, I know I gotta, remind myself, because I've caught myself in moments where I get mad at somebody because of their political beliefs, and it's absolutely stupid. I'd say that if people could really, sit down and talk with each other and get to know each other, maybe I'd say 90% of people would actually realize they have a lot more in common than they don't. But unfortunately, we're not at that point yet. I think we're not at that. I'd always say just hug it out and get over it. It's sad to see. It's how people have become, but I still have hope. I still believe that everyone can change. It may be naive, it may be stupid, because some people just don't want to change. Some people do want to see the world burn. But I try and keep an open mind about people, because I'd say I'm very empathetic. I put myself in people's shoes way too much. I used to put myself in people's shoes so much that it hurt me. I used to be that if I saw somebody get hurt, I'd feel so bad about it, and I'd say, you know what? Why couldn't I have felt that pain instead of him? I feel so bad about somebody that I was willing to think, I should have been the one to be harmed instead of this person. That also stems from, having such a disrespect for myself. I didn't love myself. I used to feel like, you know what? If you die today, nobody's gonna care. And then on the other side, it'd go to extremes. At one part, nobody cares, and then I'd have these thoughts like, you know what? Maybe I should die, just so everyone can be so sad that I left. They're gonna regret the day that they know that I'm gone, because they didn't value me. On both sides, it's a crazy thought, but I don't know if any of y'all have felt that, or maybe I'm just a crazy one that has these thoughts. But life's a little crazy, life's a bitch, life's hard, but I choose not to let those little things that really don't matter get in the way of me living the way I want to live. Because the more that I thought many times, life's pointless, I used to be a very big atheist. I've changed my thoughts. I'm not going to preach to people about who they should believe in. Everyone's entitled to believe in what they want to believe in. But, I believe in nothing. I always thought to myself, I'm thinking it on science. I'm just thinking this is what it is, Big Bang, once you die, you're gone. And just I'd say from my experiences, what I've lived through, I've learned to believe that there's something higher than us, because the thought of there being nothing is just a sad thought. So, I'm ranting a little bit. Just felt like I needed to get that out there to anyone that's suffering through addiction. Just know you're not alone. Even if you don't have family or friends around, there's always somebody willing to help. There's still genuinely good people out there. And if anyone is struggling, reach out to me. I'm always more than willing to, give a helping hand. So, y'all have a good night. Stay safe out there. Oh, I also found a cute little kitty at the truck stop. Fortunately, I had some ham or turkey in the car. Isn't that right, Mr. Kitty?